most people, confidence feels like a superpower that you're either born with or not. But really, you're only 3 simple steps away from becoming the most attractive guy in the room and someone who does not care what others think of him.
The first and most important step to building confidence comes down to one term: habits.
I like to define confidence as the probability of something happening. For example, if you think there's a high likelihood that when you talk to a pretty girl, she gives you her number, then you have a higher degree of confidence. We can apply the same logic to self-confidence.
The key to building self-confidence is constantly proving to yourself that what you say is going to happen actually does.
You don't become confident by shouting affirmations in the mirror, but by having a stack of undeniable proof that you are who you say you are. Outwork your self-doubt. Alex Hormozy. Talking to a pretty girl is a lot easier when you got up early, worked out, studied, and have a concrete plan of what you want from your life, because your word has value to yourself. When you say you're going to do something and actually do it, it reinforces the fact that you are who you say you are.
For me, this was a life-changing revelation.
I thought I felt uncomfortable talking to strangers because I couldn't think of things to say or because I couldn't keep eye contact, but really those were symptoms of my bad habits. I had big goals, but I was too lazy and undisciplined to stick to them. I would set my alarm for 6 a.m., tell myself I was gonna go for a run, hit the gym, write, and study for my classes. But then I would stay up late the night before, turn my alarm off when it rang because I had only gotten 4 hours of sleep, then crawl out of bed hours later at 11 a.m. feeling terrible. I'd give up on exercising because I'm too lethargic, I don't want to write because I'm not in the mood to focus, and I'd pretend to study while actually scrolling through social media for 5 hours.
I couldn't even prove to myself that my word had value. How could I expect the world to view me as attractive?
And it's because I couldn't prove I was a man of my word to myself that I would shut down in public and avoid eye contact because I was terrified of people seeing the real me. But once I started living up to my ideal by waking up early, exercising, and getting to work when I said I would, literally every social interaction became easier. Just by starting my day running 5 miles at sunrise gives me a massive boost of confidence that I've started my day doing something difficult. I mean, how hard could talking to the pretty girl in my economics class or introducing myself to the business club president be if I've already proven to myself to be capable of doing hard things?
The best part is, life is a momentum game, so the more days you stack in a row where you do what you say you're going to do, the more confident you become. But the opposite is also true, and the more days you break promises to yourself, the more uncomfortable you're gonna feel in public.
Confidence has little to do with your hairstyle or fashion, and while you shouldn't neglect those, you should focus more on building strong daily habits and doing what you say you're going to do.
The second step to becoming more confident is to completely change the way you look at failure and rejection.
There are few things more terrifying than being rejected or publicly embarrassed. It's biological. We don't want to be excluded from our tribe. I could make an entire separate video about this because the truth is you won't get better at communicating with strangers without embarrassing yourself a couple times. Going back to our definition of confidence, it's the probability that something happens. So if you're more confident when you approach a girl, that means you think there's a high likelihood that what you think is going to happen will happen when you talk to her. The thing is, like with any skill, you won't get better without repetition and iteration. You won't know the right thing to say to a girl until you've done it multiple times and get different results. You have to think like a scientist.
Failure is necessary for success because it's how you figure out what doesn't work, and in the iteration process, you refine your social skills.
In fact, in the beginning, I would advise you to look forward to rejection because it's gonna help you improve much quicker. It's just that we're so terrified of public embarrassment that we refuse to put ourselves out there, and men are expected to make the first move. So if you think a girl has interest in you, she probably won't make it explicitly clear. It's on you to let her know how you feel. But the beautiful thing is, rejection is just a band-aid you have to rip off, because when you approach a girl and she tells you she's not interested, you're gonna feel shocked for a second, but after about 20 seconds you realize that you're still alive and the sun is still shining, and that getting rejected actually wasn't that bad at all. The first rejection is always the most terrifying, and it becomes significantly easier after that. And after 5 rejections, you're pretty much immune to it.
The third and final step to becoming more confident might sound a little weird, but it's important for you to hear, and it's that nobody cares about you, bro. Now, before you click off, Let me explain.
In our minds, we tend to catastrophize things and make them way bigger problems than they actually are. But the truth is, nobody cares about you enough to make fun of you for embarrassing yourself, especially if you're secure with who you are. And believe me, I used to be very insecure. I would worry about what to do with my hands in photos or get nervous if there was an awkward silence in a conversation.
But then I realized, hey, this is all so insignificant, and I'm making this a way bigger deal than it actually is.
My freshman year of high school, we were doing a class reading of Romeo and Juliet in English, and I was assigned to be Romeo one day. And because it was written in Old English, I kept messing up the lines and was reading at a 5-year-old's pace and felt super awkward. I remember for months after that day, I would be up at night thinking about how bad I embarrassed myself. Until one day, months later, I was talking to my friend and I asked him, remember that day we were reading Romeo and Juliet and I kept messing up the lines? And he replied, no. In that moment, I realized that people are too busy worrying about their own problems to concern themselves with your troubles.
If you gained value from this video, please subscribe. I got many more videos on the way focused on philosophy, behavior, and navigating life.